So here we go. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are. I am here live in the Vancouver airport. Oh, there's a friend of mine over there walking by. She didn't see me. But anyways, hey, live at the Vancouver airport. We are a little bit late, 17 minutes after. That's because I was in the secondary at customs and security and stuff like that. That's kind of how it goes if you're running an online international business. And I have been, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much for everybody. Tonight's webinar is a little different because normally we go through a set format. I have a set of things that I'm going to teach you, points, bullet points, a typical aspect of the business. But I wanted to do this one because I did a lot of reflection over the Christmas holidays. I hope you had a great Christmas holidays. And I was looking back at my goals over the years, the ones I achieved, the ones I didn't achieve. And the reason is last quarter, I missed more goals than I had in any single quarter. I don't even know how long it's been. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, why is that? And why I'm going to share this with you is because I think there's something very important that's lost in goal setting. And it's really, really critical for you to get this. So let me get into it. Now, most of us know that we set goals, SMART goal. It needs to be realistic and timely and all that sort of stuff. And everything needs to be good. And it's got to be realistic and accountability built into it and structured and all that stuff, right? But I looked at I kind of looked at the span of the year, what I had in my life. And by the way, if I look back to my goals I set like 15, 20 years ago, almost all of them have been achieved. And almost all of them didn't happen in the time frame that I thought they were going to happen in. It took much longer. So what happened, right? Like, how did that happen? Well, I looked at it and I realized this. Sorry about the lighting here. There's not much we can do about it. I realized that I can't necessarily control the timeline of a goal being achieved, and neither can you. And so in the last quarter, because I have a number of different businesses, I was under time pressure and I felt a certain anxiety, and I worked really hard at my goals. I worked maybe harder at my goals than I have in any quarter, in a long period of time. And the thing is, I've got a lot of things going on. And I realized that I felt pressure, I felt anxiety about it, and that really destroys the vibe. Kevin Trudeau, whether you like him or not, I think he did a really good video on Your Wish is Your Command. Wallace D. Wattles talks about how you do things in a certain way in his, How to Be Successful book, Secrets of Success. And I realized that the time pressure, the peace pressures I was putting on it, I wasn't hitting. I was happy with the processes on most of them. There was a couple ones that I thought were better processes. But here's the thing. Some of the goals that I hit came right out of left field. I didn't have a process. I didn't have anything set up for it. It was like this random thing. So I thought, well, how much did I actually do to create that achievement? And I realized it just seemed kind of like a fluke, but was it a fluke? Or was there something in it? One was I set an intention and then it magically happened. And in a really amazing way. In a way that I couldn't imagine. Just like Kevin Trudeau says, things can happen in ways that you can't imagine. And you've got to hold that vibe. When I look at, when I set a goal a long time ago to be in the Mr. Universe contest, I didn't know that was going to take me 16 years. It just did. When I decided I was going to be Dash 3, I didn't know that was going to take me 10 years, but it did. When I decided I was going to build a worldwide online distribution company, I didn't know it was online, a distribution company in supplements when I was 15. I didn't know it was going to take me 20 years for that to happen. I've also didn't know that I would get some of my goals almost instantaneously. So what is all that to say? Well, what is that to say is I think that it's important to set your goals in a way that holds intention. And I think you want to keep juicing the emotion and the feeling of the goal. The energy behind it is the emotion and the feeling. And if you can do that, I think you're more in alignment. As soon as you start creating anxiety or failure or I'm not hitting this or this energetic pressure, I think you close down the magnetic, attractive qualities of that goal. And so I'm doing a radical experiment this year. And that is I'm not setting any goals. No timelines, no done by this, no have tos or whatever. What I am doing is I'm setting some intentions and I'm holding a vision in my mind of what I want to happen. There's some specific things that I keep imagining each and every day that I see happening. And I know that they're going to come true on their own time in their own place. And I am joyful about the process. I don't feel like I'm beating myself, because when I looked at the goals that I didn't hit last term, I was like, I was really happy with my process. I was really happy with my effort. I was really happy that we made progress. It just didn't go forward in the time frame that I thought. And I went, then why do I feel like a failure? Because I feel like a failure because of these timelines that I've arbitrarily set, that I've demanded the universe to deliver on, when I don't even know what it's going to take maybe to get to that goal. All I can continually do is commit to the effort. And so today I would like to encourage you to think about your goals in a different way. See them as done. See them that those things are going to happen. Like, so you set a goal to be a 6A or set a goal to be a -3. Or see that, hold that in mind, and then hold yourself accountable towards taking action towards it each and every day. Very different, because what you're doing is you're focusing on the process, you're getting and then you get feedback from the first. So built-in accountability to that process and see what the feedback is, and then recycle. And that just takes a lot of the pressure. Now, will you get as many things done as someone who's setting goals? I don't know. SMART goals. Will you feel as much anxiety? I doubt it. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are amazing goal setters, and they've done very well in life. I don't necessarily want their life. I know other people that don't set any goals, and I don't necessarily want their life. And I know that there's a happy middle here. And for me, and you might be in this category, maybe you do well in SMART goals, don't change it. Maybe you like those pressure things and that's how you respond. And I think some people do. There's different psychologies, but I realize the things is, if I just set in motion and say, no matter what, this is going to happen. I'm not in a rush. I'm excited about the process. I feel good about the process. I'm anticipatory about the process. And I just let it go and trust the universe. But I continue to take actions. I keep it in my intention radar by reviewing and going over this each and every single day. So that's my talk today. Is how did you feel? So write this down. How did you feel about your goals last year? Did you set processes? What was the accountability cycle? Did you feel pressure? Did you feel like a failure? Did you feel that you didn't hit your goals in time, or that something like that? Like, break down what is thing. And then to go a little bit deeper, if you want to observe yourself, is like, I realized that when things start getting really pressured and not working out the way that I want, usually, and that's because I'm on a timeline, I get anxiety, and then I get angry, I get frustrated. And what happens is, all of a sudden, I want to blame somebody. I want to create a villain. And it's really a hero complex, because, who's Luke Skywalker without Darth Vader? Who is Frodo Baggins without Sauron? You need to have a very complex, a very adept enemy. It seems almost undefeatable, but somehow you can be the hero in your story and overcome that. And I realized that in my own life, that I have been creating that villain hero story whenever I feel like I'm being thwarted in my goal. So what I want to go back and say, there is no villain and there is no hero. And if there is, I can be the hero of my story, and it doesn't matter how time frame. Like, when things happen, it doesn't have to be done at a certain time. We might think it is, we might feel that it is, but at the end of the day, things are going to happen when they get happen. There's a cycle in the universe. There's an energy that keeps going. Things keep working, and there's small cycles, there's medium cycles, and there's really, really, really long cycles that we can't possibly imagine. And I just need to get into the flow to see that I'm being in the flow, as opposed to pushing and forcing and going against the grain, which is something that particularly was an old pattern of mine. And having this epiphany and realizing, you know what, it's not about that. It's actually about feeling good and setting those intentions, creating a process, becoming accountable to that process, seeing the results, and then rechecking and rechecking. Because, you know, I've got a few people that are very close to hitting another rank, and they wanted to get there, you know, last year, and they didn't get it, and they feel like a failure. But they're not taking into account they had all these other people that were successful. They came up to some obstacles. They learned some new things. They had to build new systems. You don't know what you don't know. And I had another mentor came in, and this was my magic mentor. I set an intention to have a mentor, and someone showed up in my life to be my business mentor. I was looking for a new one, and the perfect mentor came in. Unbelievable. I feel really, really grateful for that. And I asked him about something because I was in this one process, and he was explaining to me it wasn't going well, and I was creating obstacles and pain. And he talked to me. He says, you know, you got to just tweak your leadership style. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, you got to do your homework, and you got to dive a little deeper into that process. And then you've got to find out someone who's done it, set that out. What was the time frames? How long did it take? What actions did they do? Who did they see? All that sort of, like, really do your homework deep. Initiate the right people into that. And I have the right people. And then follow that process. And when it gets off track, bring it back on track. That's really what needs to happen. And I realized that I wasn't doing that. I was checking out on some level because I was too horrified by the villain, or too much anxiety and anger that was taking me out of a productive, in alignment state. So if any of that is resonating with you, or if any of that's coming up for you, then I would encourage you to think about that, to check in on it and reflect on it. Because a lot of people started the new year, they set their goals. Why don't you take that goals list you took out, it's just a couple weeks in, and see where you're at on it right now. Number one, can you control the timeline? Number two, do you have an accountability process inside of that? Are you holding in mind the right outcome? Are you getting the right people on board? And are you following a process and then checking that process over and over until you keep improving it, and then, you know, getting the help that you need? If you do that, you will eventually get to that goal. You might get there sooner, you might get there non-sooner, but if you have it in mind all the time and it's formed in a positive way, and you feel that the right people, the right things are going to come into your life, then they will. That's kind of like an advanced form of the law of attraction. I think it's really the law of intention. By setting the intention, you then create the attraction. Just like the boat breaks the waves, and then, you know, you see the waves in the background, the back of that. Well, it's the same thing, I think, for your life, and that can pull people in. So the wake. So I hope that was helpful. Sorry that we were a little late today. Can't help it, you know, the security issues as what they are at the airports and stuff. I've been grateful enough I get to fly all around the world and get to travel, and thanks to our business, and it's wonderful. And I hope, and you can do this too. You will do this. Hold that in mind. If you need a little help, you have some questions, you want to reach out to me and find out, feel free to check in with me, wadelightheart@gmail.com. I'm pretty stacked, so I don't always get back to people. If you don't hear from me, email me again, and I'd love to chat with you and see if I can keep you on track for your goals in 2019. And more importantly, make sure that you feel good. You're tap dancing all the way to achievement. Thanks so much. Take care. Lots of love.